I'm Kavan, founder of Nueconomy. This is our fifth Counterfactual, a series exploring the pivotal moments that could have reshaped our economic world entirely. Today's thought experiment: what if cross border digital services had been regulated like physical trade from the very beginning? Picture this. In 1995, as the World Wide Web emerged from academic obscurity, trade negotiators treated digital commerce exactly like shipping containers across borders. Imagine WTO rules immediately applying to every email, every software download, every streaming video crossing national boundaries. Your morning in this alternative 2025 would look remarkably different. That streaming service you're watching, it would have required import licenses in each country, faced content quotas favoring domestic production, and complied with local cultural standards from day one. Search results would be subject to domestic competition rules with mandatory preferences for local information providers. Video calls with international colleagues would face telecommunications tariffs and data localization requirements. The technology landscape would be unrecognizable. Instead of a handful of American platforms dominating globally, we'd inhabit a world of fragmented digital markets. European governments, armed with trade policy tools from the start, would have nurtured continental champions. Spotify might have remained a Swedish service, with licensing barriers preventing its global expansion. Chinese tech giants would have developed behind protective digital tariff walls, creating entirely parallel ecosystems. But here's where the analysis becomes counterintuitive. This regulated digital world might have been more innovative, not less. Consider how physical trade protection often spurs domestic innovation. Without the overwhelming dominance of Silicon Valley platforms, would we have seen more diverse technological solutions emerging from different regulatory environments? European privacy focused alternatives to American social media would have had protected market access. India's fintech innovations might have developed decades earlier behind digital trade barriers. Brazil's e commerce solutions would have evolved to serve Latin American markets without facing immediate competition from established American giants. The geopolitical implications extend far beyond technology. The current tensions over digital sovereignty, from TikTok bans to data localization requirements, would never have emerged because digital borders would have been clearly established from the beginning. Instead of today's chaotic scramble to regulate retroactively, governments would have maintained consistent control over digital trade flows. Financial services present particularly intriguing scenarios. Cross border digital payments would require the same regulatory approvals as traditional banking services. This might have prevented the current regulatory uncertainty around cryptocurrencies, but it would also have slowed financial innovation significantly. Fintech disruption might have proceeded more gradually, with each jurisdiction developing solutions tailored to local regulatory frameworks. The data economy tells perhaps the most fascinating alternative story. If data flows had been subject to trade rules from the start, we might have seen formal data trade agreements rather than today's patchwork of privacy regulations. Personal data would have been treated as a regulated export commodity with clear rules about cross border transfers, storage requirements, and processing rights. This could have prevented the current race to the bottom in privacy protection. Just as environmental standards eventually became embedded in trade agreements, data protection might have become a standard trade negotiation issue. We might be living in a world with higher baseline privacy protections globally rather than the current system where tech companies arbitrage regulatory differences. The innovation effects would be profound but mixed. While regulatory fragmentation might have slowed the network effects that created global platforms, it could have encouraged more diverse technological approaches. Instead of uniform global platforms, we might have multiple competing standards and approaches to digital services. Artificial intelligence development would be fundamentally different. Rather than being concentrated in a few major tech companies, AI research would be distributed across national and regional champions, each developing solutions optimized for their regulatory environments and cultural contexts. Yet the economic efficiency costs would be substantial. Cross border collaboration, remote work, and global knowledge sharing would all be more expensive and cumbersome. Small businesses would face the same complex export regulations that challenge traditional manufacturers when attempting international digital expansion. This counterfactual reveals a crucial insight. The Internet's early regulatory vacuum was actually a decisive window for establishing global digital integration. The fact that digital services developed faster than regulatory frameworks created irreversible path dependencies. In this alternative world, we might have achieved democratic accountability over digital markets, while sacrificing the innovation velocity that transformed the global economy. Multiple regional digital ecosystems would coexist, each reflecting different regulatory philosophies and cultural values, but global connectivity would be more fragmented and expensive. The fundamental question this counterfactual poses: would we have been willing to accept slower digital transformation in exchange for maintaining sovereign control over our information infrastructure? The answer might have determined whether technology served democratic societies or ultimately transcended them.